That's been my favorite advice that I've gotten from parents, is just knowing that. Hello everyone, thank you so much for being here. Welcome to my channel. I am going to chat with you all today about what I have learned in my first year of motherhood and being like a working mom, specifically a teaching mom. What I've learned as like a teacher and a mom, like it's like a combined bit. And just like how I've become how I've changed my practices in teaching from what I've learned as being a mom and what I've done differently in general. And then just like also just motherhood stuff. So that's what we're chatting about today. If I'm being very honest with you, I tried to film a classroom tour this morning and the audio was just all messed up. So we'll do that another day. But I'm excited to talk about this, and it's really appropriate because, let me just do a little intro. I'm Victoria, if you are new here, and I am a 7th year 3rd grade teacher in Maine, but I'm also a mom to a baby boy who is turning 1 this weekend. So it feels super appropriate to just kind of stop and reflect and talk about what I've learned from my first year of being a mom and learning how to juggle being a mom and a teacher. So that's what we're chatting about today. I can't wait, and I am also very sad that my baby is going to be 1. I've cried about it probably more times than I should admit, and I'm not a crier, but it just feels so old. Anyways, I'm sure you can like understand if you're also a mom. It's just, it goes by so fast and so slowly at the same time at some moments, and I just don't want him to get bigger, but I do. Like, it's so fun, but you know, you understand. So let's dive into my 5 tips or 5 lessons I've learned, or just 5 truths of being a mom and a teacher. Let's dive. Okay, so tip number 1 is that everything comes in seasons and everything passes. There are constantly new seasons and new phases, and they come and go. And to just remind yourself of that when you're going through something tricky with either your baby or work or both. I have had so many times, my husband and I will get stressed about our sleep, and we'll be like, oh my goodness, our baby is not, like, he's waking up every 2 hours. What is happening? And it feels like this is this huge problem that we need to solve immediately. And then the next like 3 days, he's sleeping normally. And like this has applied to so many things. He is having a problem, like when he first started eating, he didn't really like food and he would just start to cry. And we like talked to our pediatrician about it, and we're like, oh my gosh, is something wrong? And then a week later, tried food again, loved it. He is like the best eater the world has ever seen. So things come in seasons. They're all phases. Like, understand, and it's hard to think this at the time, but try to step back and just say these like mantras, like, this feels hard because it is hard right now, but this will pass. And this also applies to teaching too. Like, I'm trying to do a million F&P running records. And I can just say, this feels hard because it is hard, but I will finish these. And then I will move on and do something else. And just kind of recognizing that this is hard, this season is challenging, these days, this phase is hard, but it will not last forever, is huge. And that's been my favorite advice that I've gotten from parents is just knowing that everything will change, and that if you don't get too worked up about something that's going on, because it's very likely that in 2 days, a week, that thing that you were just super worried about is going to be done. It's going to be moved on past and a distant memory. So that is tip number 1. Everything comes in seasons and phases. Let it ebb and flow, and just recognize that it's hard at the time, and just show that recognition and reflection, but understand that it'll go away. All right, tip number 2 is that parenting strategies apply to teaching, and teaching strategies apply to parenting. So I was obsessive with teaching my first 5-6 years. It was like my hobby, it was my life. It was probably not healthy, but that's the case, and it's my truth. And in those 5 or 6 years, I learned so much about like classroom management, social emotional learning, all of that stuff that I've learned. And I learned about how to calm down kids and how to calm down myself can apply to myself and my baby. Now, obviously, I'm not able to do some of these things because he's just a baby at the moment, but I can kind of apply some of these strategies that I learn to myself, and just reminding myself to, let's say, have a growth mindset. Like, this is really tricky. You don't know how to do this, but just because you don't know how to do this right now does not mean that you're not going to know how to do this forever. You will learn it. You can do this. You can do hard things. Reminding those things. And then also, I have read so much about gentle parenting. Like, I don't really know why I feel like this is something that I dove into during my maternity leave, but I did. And I love Dr. Becky with Good Inside, and a lot of other like really great books like How to Talk So Little Kids Will Listen, and so on. All of those books about gentle parenting really apply to your teaching. So the strategies that you learn about how to talk to kids, how to calm yourself when kids are triggering you, and so on, those can all apply not only to your own child, but to yourself. So use those opportunities that you have to tap into those resources that you already have in your brain, basically. Believe in yourself, believe in what you've learned, and remind yourself of those strategies that you already have learned. I think this is something that comes fairly naturally to us, but I just thought it was worth mentioning as like something that I've really learned. Is I have just really picked up on how much I can take from my teaching and apply it to my house, and how much I can take from these things that I'm learning in gentle parenting and apply it to teaching. So there's just so much that you can learn, and kids are kids no matter what. All of the things that work for them are universal. So if you're a teacher and you're listening to this and you're not a mom yet, or you're not planning on being a mom or a dad or whatever, you can still read gentle parenting books and look at what they recommend. It's kind of cool, very interesting. So I'll link down below some of my favorite gentle parenting books, but that's definitely something to look into. It's just a great resource that I was like, whoa, I can use a lot of this in my classroom. So that's tip number 2 to you. Use what you know in your classroom and apply it to your house, and use what you learn in your house and apply it to your home. That's it. All right, tip number 3 is routines, and more routines. This is something that is going to help you with your home and your teaching. So at home, I have set routines with what I'm doing in the morning. I'm getting up, I'm getting myself ready. Sometimes I'm working out before then, but honestly not enough. And then after that, after I get myself ready, I'm getting his bottles ready. I'm getting his food ready for daycare. I'm packing all of those things together in a little cooler, putting them in a bag. Then his bag is ready for daycare. Then I'm making sure all of my stuff is ready. And basically, I do a lot of this stuff also. Like I'm starting with the morning routine, but a lot of the stuff that I do for the morning routine is prepped from the night routine. So like I've already made the lunch for my baby the night before. I've already put together most of the bottles the night before, unless it's Monday. Monday I usually use frozen milk. Yeah. So, and then after I finish packing like my lunch, and that's another thing I do mostly the night before, but I'll take like my ice packs and put it in there, and then I'll also take my pump parts out of the dishwasher because I cleaned those the night before, and I'll put them together and put them in a baggie and then put them in my lunchbox as well, because I use the like combine your milk and just put it in the fridge method. You do what you want to do, but that's worked for me. And yeah, then after that, I make breakfast, and then I get Hugo, and then we have breakfast, and then we get ready and we go to daycare. Once upon a time, I used to get to daycare for like 7 or 7:10. Now I get to, or if I said daycare, I meant school. Now I get to school at 7:40, maybe a little bit before that, because I need to do all of that and then bring him to daycare and then go to school after that. So it's a process. And once upon a time, I thought like, I'll probably still be able to get to school pretty early. Yeah, no, it's just really like, if I am dropping him off at daycare, it's really not possible with needing him to have breakfast and getting him dressed and all of that stuff. So it's so important to have those routines in place so that you can get to work on time. And then in connection to all of this, routines also really matter when you get into the classroom and when you're teaching. So I have really started nailing in on this year, because last year I was like really falling behind in my emails, and I would really fall behind in grading. And it was just, I felt like I was constantly treading water and then like, dipping under. But now I think I found a system that's really worked for me. So I try to do emails and slides in the morning. I've talked about this in some of my other vlogs, so I'm sorry if it's repetitive. Then I try and do at lunch, I'll try and do emails and slides again. And then at the end of school, I usually do grading and emails if I need to. And then sometimes slides if I have time. Basically, the 3 things that I work on are slides, which are our plans for the day, emails, which are to parents and communication, and then grading, because that can sneak up on you. So that's worked really well for me, and I would definitely recommend having some set routine to get those tasks done that you need to get done to be an effective teacher, but you don't have enough time, because teachers never have enough time. That's what's worked for me, is setting routines and thinking through things. Yeah, so tip number 3 is set routines in your house and set routines in your home, and you will thank yourself later, even when it is 8:30 at night and you don't feel like packing bottles, you don't feel like packing a lunch. Do it, because then in the morning you will totally regret it if you haven't. I am not speaking from experience, but I'm just saying. Right. Tip number 4, or lesson, this one's really a lesson. Number 4 is just recognize that everything's different. And I feel like this one, again, is not really, it's just a truth. But just really recognize that everything is going to be different, and live in that change and understand that change and embrace that change, and try and set yourself up for success within that change by doing things, like I said, of using routines and so on. So I was once upon a time like super duper obsessed with teaching, and I still love teaching, but it's just not my life anymore. My life is my family, and teaching is my career, and I love it, but it's not my life. So just recognize, like, I remember feeling like I will always have the time in my day to do this. I'll be fired up at all times. And I am. I love teaching, but I am just not going to give the time that I did before, because I can't. I need to give a lot of that time to my baby and to my family. And it's just important to recognize that you are one human who can only do so much, and give yourself that forgiveness and that grace and that understanding that you are doing everything that you can, and you are doing such a good job at it. It's hard to work. It's hard to be a mom. It's hard to be a parent. It's hard to be a teacher. It's hard to do those things. And the fact that you're doing 2 of them or 1 of them is amazing. So give yourself that credit, and let some things slide that maybe once upon a time you wouldn't have. Like, maybe understand that you're not going to be able to differentiate the lesson for every single kid every single day. Not that you shouldn't differentiate, you should, but like, maybe make instead some strategies where you can do that quicker and easier. Set down some landscapes, or I can't think of the right word for this, but just like think through a routine for your kids that you can do to help them constantly be able to be challenged, but not have to overthink it constantly. Try to just set something up for yourself and then reuse that over and over and over again. Yes, you might want to be super innovative and fun and exciting and come up with all of these new and exciting ways to differentiate materials for your kids, but you might not have the time to do that. And you might have the time to do that sometimes, and that's great. Give yourself that joy and enjoy those times, but also enjoy the times that you used your strategies and you set those routines, and know that you are doing what you need to for those kids, and you are doing what you need to for your family. That's like been a really big adjustment for me, is just knowing that I am a good teacher, even though I can't spend as much time as I once did on teaching. That now teaching is no longer my life, and that's okay. Understand that everything's going to be different. Embrace it. Forgive yourself. I don't know if forgive's the right word, but just grant that grace and that understanding of that change is hard, but through change you grow, you become a better person. Yeah. Okay, last but not least, but definitely something I'm still working on, is take time for yourself. Find hobbies for yourself and dive into those even when you don't think you have time to do it. I was once obsessive with teaching. Like, I've constantly taken on the identity of the roles that I place. Like, I used to be a swimmer and I swam collegiately, and I was like, that is who I was. I was a swimmer. Then I was a teacher, and that was my whole self. I was a teacher, and I still am. And then I became a mom, and for a little while I was obsessive over it. It was like, I am a mom, and I am going to learn everything that I can about being a mom. I am going to do everything that I can to be the best mom that I can. Same thing with teaching. And just know that can only get you so far, and you're not going to be like the happiest, best version of yourself if that's what you do. So you need to give yourself time to have fun and get some creative outlets out and just relax and enjoy your family and your friends and your hobbies. I started this YouTube channel actually because I was like, I need a hobby. I need to find something that will bring me joy and give me a chance to do something other than being a mom and being a teacher, which is kind of funny because my content's like all about being a mom and being a teacher, but the creative part of it, of like editing and looking at different, like thinking of different shots and thinking of different concepts to talk about, all of that is just been a lot of fun for me and just like a fun thing for me to learn. So I would just say, really take the time to think of something that you enjoy and take the time out of your schedule to do those things. It's really hard to do that. And I am still, like I said, I'm still working on this. Like, my husband is so great at finding time to do things that he's passionate about. And he's so supportive of me doing things I'm passionate about. But I need to take the time to do those things and not feel bad about not being with my baby or not doing schoolwork or so on. So that's something I'm still working on, but it's a lesson that I have learned, and it's something that I will continue to hopefully grow on, and something that I think it's worth just sharing with you all. So yeah, that's lesson number 5. All right, so that is it for today's video. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for listening to me and chatting with me today as I thought about some of the 5 truths and the tips and lessons that I've learned for my first year of being a mom and a teacher and like combined, and a working mom and all of that. I hope that I shared something that was helpful or something that just like really rang true to you. If I'm missing something, if you're thinking of something that really rings true to you and what you've learned in your first year of being a parent and a teacher, or something that you've learned as just a truth of being a teacher, I would love to hear it from you. What are some of those really valuable lessons that you've learned and that you wish you could share with the world? Because I love learning from others, and I would love to hear that from you. So please comment that down below and let me know. Thank you so much again for being here. I appreciate you all very, very much. If you've liked today's video, please give it a thumbs up. Please hit that notification bell so you can see me and my wonderful self in future videos, and subscribe. I love you all and have the best weekend.